This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
So you can see that I have got a very big elephant. What a great start. I am by the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park Services Juma Game Reserve, and most of all, welcome to the Christmas drive. This is Sydney from Niconico. See what that elephant is doing at the moment. You can see that he's trying to get hold of the small grasses and some small plants. The big trees are growing the leaves. I don't know why he's interested to get something from the ground. For in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. So this is a very big elephant. You can see that the hind legs are wet. When we talk about the elephants on mast, this is what we mean. You can see this elephant has got the back legs wet and he is leaking quite a lot of urine. You can see there's a lot of droplets coming down there. You can see there's droplets dripping from his urinary organ. He can be able to leak up to 80 liters of water a day. So from here where I am, I can pick up a very distinctive smell. Elephants, males, they do go on mast for about 7 consecutive days, normally once a year. So the old elephants, they thank you very much for all the messages about this very special Christmas day. So you can see on Christmas Day, elephants, when they're on mast as well, they are very much calm. You can see that it's just here, not worried. And when on mast is when elephants are very much temperamental, are very aggressive. So now let's quickly go to Steve, who is having a spotted cat.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very merry, warm and happy Christmas to all of you from around the world. Well, we have not found the real Osana, but we have found the sparkly, smaller version that is quite cuddly and the one that likes to spoon. My name is Steve. I'm joined by David on camera. We've got Pat on board as well. He'll be tag teaming out with me in about an hour and a half. And I'm sure Sydney has informed you of how to get hold of us. Please send your questions, comments through to #SafariLive. We'd love to hear from you, or just throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. I hope you're having a wonderful day with your family and friends, or whatever it is you might be planning on doing. We are out. It is hot. It is 36 degrees Celsius. We had Hossan this morning. And, well, it's very hot. So we're going to check a few watering points along the way, see if maybe we can see him again. But this is a wonderful afternoon, as Sydney is showing you, to spend time with some elephants. So I'm thinking of, as we're going down here, it is quite hot, just looking in sort of the more popular sort of areas. But I'm going to poke my nose into Chitwa real quick and go and see if there's any elephants maybe going down there to have a drink. Being the largest of the dams in the northern Sabi Sands, you can quite often have some incredible sightings with elephants. And well, being Christmas and all, there's a good chance that they're all going to come together for a family get-together. Oh, that was the Christmas bird itself. The colourful, oh, he's gone now. The colourful lilac-breasted roller. It was a lovely day. We spent some time by the pool. And then everybody got involved in some gingerbread houses. It wasn't very good. I did a lot of observation, but everyone did very, very well. Well, anyway, up in the Masai Mara, it's a lot cooler than it is here. David Gitu is out on safari. I wonder if he's dressed up like he was this morning. Okay, well, it seems like there is something wrong with the Masai Mara. And, well, we are trying to broadcast a live stream all the way from South Africa and the Masai Mara, so these technical things do happen from time to time. You are just going to have to stick with me for a little while longer. I do apologize, but hey, we will catch up. There we go. So it is warm. These little muddy wallows we'll check, and there's a beautiful starling, a Burchell starling, running around next to the watering hole. You can see the very long tail. He's got a black eye, and well, the long tail and the black eye differentiate this bird. There's another one just down there. Differentiates it from most of the other starlings that you have here that are very similar blue colour but have got a very bright orange eye, and the tail is quite short. Well, anyway, they're hiding away from the shade as well, and they're going to get some water, but Sydney is still with his jumbo elephant.
So you can see now that the elephant is on a better position. I can see he's trying to even throw some of these food he's eating right on top. You can see right there between the ears, right by the, he's got a little green plant on top, you can see there. So this elephant, if you look at him, he's looking very dirty because he was doing the mud wallowing, maybe by one of the water holes nearby, or a potholes that elephants designed themselves. He might have been to one of them, picking up the soil and just throwing them everywhere on the body, just to cool the body temperature, as it is very, very much hot here where I am at the moment. This looks like a very big elephant. So elephants are peaceful animals, but when the females has got the babies, when the elephant males are on mast, this stage this elephant is on now is a very temperamental stage. So they can go up to 5.5 to 6 meters. That is quite very huge. It's quite a big animal. And see the trunk there when it's trying to pick up what is taking from the ground. So also that trunk can go up to 6 meters. Look at that. So that is what serves as a hand, and again he uses the very same instrument to collect water. So by looking at the tusks, you can see that the right tusk is much more used than the left tusk. So this is telling me that this elephant, we can say, is right-handed because he's using the right tusk all the time. So some of these elephants, because of using too much one side of the tusk, they end up called left-handed, and whereas some of them are called left-handed. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara and see how the Christmas Day is treating David, who is also on a game drive now.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the Mara Triangle on this day that is Christmas Day, and to all of you is Merry Christmas. Nothing has changed as much as today is Christmas Day. My name is David. With me on camera is Archie. Archie, how are you today? I decided just to stay here to show you this glorious wilderness of the Mara Triangle, and also to see me myself on some Christmas kind of gear, and to say Merry Christmas to all the birds, to all the animals, and to all the trees, and to my family, to my friends, and for all of you nice viewers who keep watching us. On behalf of the Safari Live team players, Merry Christmas. All right, what are my plans today? My plans today is, as usual, to go out. We have no rains. I'm not sure to say that's good news or bad news. And this morning we didn't get a drop of rain, and not even last night. And the way it looks, it might be another lovely afternoon. And it's time now to get in my car, in my office, and start looking for the animals. Remember, I'm sure Sydney must have told you, and Steve Ovo, questions, comments, very healthy. So please come, keep sending them through. Hashtag Safari Live as usual. Looks good, the light is perfect, the temperatures feel very comfortable. And Archie, sorry, I'm trying to bounce you back there, because I want us to get to business as soon as possible. And being a Christmas day, Christmas in general are days for families. So just like this morning, what I did, I was dealing with all animals that had families. Any one individual family or individual animal, I avoided to stop, but I would stop for any family, be they zebras, elephants, giraffes. So today is a family day. I also want to make it an animal family day. Does that sound good? All right. Actually, we've got some zebras here, which I think make a family. Tell me what's the best place for us to stop. Okay. All right, we got some zebras there, and I'm sure this is a whole family, and I'm imagining there could be males and females here. The only thing I need to look for much later on will be some foals or some youngsters with this common zebra. But as I try to look for those youngsters, I will take you back to South Africa, to my friend Sydney.
I want to show you something interesting here. The steenbok is just now busy defecating. Look at the steenbok covering the droppings. Can you see that? That is what the steenbok does. Look at that. It's the only antelope who does that. So look, you will see now, he just dug, he must cover now, you see? So it's the only antelope who does defecate and cover the droppings. We are so lucky to find him doing this. So that's why it's so very much difficult to see the droppings for the steenbok. If you want to see them, you must go to an area where it's deposited and covered, open the soil and see the droppings. So that was the male steenbok. And they are very much territorial and monogamous. They are partners for life. So if one of them dies, it's rare for the other one to go and look for a new mate. So the steenboks are so vulnerable when it comes to the big predators such as the leopards. That was a fantastic sighting. So you can see that on Christmas Day things are happening. The steenbok is showing us their secret. It's quite hot at the moment here where I am. Yeah, you can see that these ears and the heart is bringing me a lot of luck. To see the steenbok defecating is not easy. So maybe it's because of my ears and the heart. A Christmas Day is what it means. Yeah, I'm going to wear them all year round with my elephant dung mic. So now let's cross over back to David Gatamba Kitu by the Masai Mara.
Well, good luck, Sydney, and I'm sure you are capable of getting some good stuff this afternoon, this Christmas afternoon. Well, I say today we're going to be doing Family Day, and Family Day also for the animals, and we've got some primates here. And these are baboons. I'm not sure what happened to the tail of that particular one there. In the Mara, I've seen so many animals with half tails, you know, and this morning I had a lion that had half a tail. We have an elephant around here that have half a tail. Now, this baboon, I'm not sure if I've seen this baboon before. Could be the first time. And I do not know what has been happening to the tails of these animals around here. We always have our own theories. But that notwithstanding, this is a whole troop or a whole congress of baboons, and these are what we call the olive baboons. busy eating, and they would eat anything. And baboons, we all know, are omnivores. And they've got a little scratch there. Sometimes they get flea or lice, in their body, and either she picked something from the ground. They're not sure how. What are you doing? Omka, there's a tail piece in the marrow somewhere, because I would ask myself, when that baboon lost the tail, where did it go? So there could be something happening with the tails around here. There's another male lion, apart from the one I saw this morning. The two I saw this morning were nomadic males from Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, I guess. There's a male that is a resident or forms a coalition of where we are in the Ololoro area, that we call him half-tail, because he got a half-tail, and that particular male, nobody knows what. I mean, personally, I do not know what might have transpired to have half a tail. And that one baboon we just saw. This particular youngster here is very mischievous, very cheeky like monkeys. Not sure where he got his belly on the ground. And either they're digging some tubers, because with the onset of the short rains, a lot of plants or shrubs have shoot up. And definitely the big one is digging something occasionally, or maybe they could be digging some worms in there. You see how she is scooping some soil? Child of the universe, I'm not sure you asked whether what's the main source for the food of the baboon, or what do they eat? Because if that's your question, I was saying earlier, baboons are omnivores, and being omnivores, they would be feeding on everything from plants to animals. Animals, I'm saying, child of the universe, from insects, grasshoppers, oops, that one's carrying a baby, children of the universe, I hope you're seeing that one there, from grasshoppers to crickets to locusts, but also you have seen, or we see baboons also catching smaller monkeys like the vervet monkeys and devouring them. We have seen them hunting small little fawns or lambs or antelopes like impala babies. They would eat anything you'd think of. So baboons are omnivores, they're just like us. They also eat fruits. You'll see them on top of particular trees, picking some ripe fruits. They love so much fig fruits from fig trees, but also you'll also see them eating some leaves on top of trees too. So here I'm imagining or guessing either they're digging some roots of these particular grasses or plants that have shot up because of the rain. I'm trying to have a kiss to your mom there. Oh, no, she went to the other one. That one, the other one is much younger. I doubt she was an age of being a mother. And what they're doing now, they're just checking each other if any one of them has any parasites. They check on ticks. And the most interesting thing here, what they do, once they see the ticks, they take them straight to their mouth. They just eat them. I don't know about that, but that's exactly what they do. And in general, you get the females doing that to the males. So remember, our drive is very interactive. If you keep us engaged, we get lots of joy in terms of questions and comments. So that's exactly now what she's doing. By look of things, the one behind is a little smaller. So my guess is that one is a female. Lorena, great comment. And these babies, when they are below 3 months, in general, they hang on the mother's belly. But anything over 3 months, they can ride on the back, just like how you see jockeys on horses. The mothers will think when they're still less or below 3 months, that's a very delicate age, and they don't want to take any chances, and they have a better grasp or grip of the mother. If the mother needs to take off for one reason or another, they know the babies are much safer there. What I'm saying is some of the challenges baboons face are leopards, and this is so nice. So baboons face challenges of leopards, and when leopards would come for them, they'll need just to take off. And Lorena, if the baby, like that small little baby there, I'm not sure what the age she would be in, the mother would feel more comfortable when it's on the belly. But 4 months and above, they always ride on the back. What are you doing? That's a bit playful there, and that's really good fun, eh? Time to nurse, or are you going to look... I mean, she wants to nurse on one side, and the other baboon is looking for parasites, and that's how they look for stuff like flea. Hopefully, I also gave the fleas, I also told them Merry Christmas. I was thinking of all the insects we have in the Mara Triangle, including fleas, the types of insects sometimes you get in dogs, and unfortunately sometimes you get in humans. Not sure the fleas would cause any disease to these animals, I have no idea. But in general, what they'll be looking for here will be ticks and mites. Not sure baboons would have lice. Elka are baboons what Sariam, and baboons here will always go in big groups, and anything from 20, sometimes up to 100. Hello, baboons. Baboons in general will live in groups, Enka, and what I'm saying, it's very unusual to see a single individual on his or her own because their strength is numbers. These ones here, the olive baboons as they call them, because we have another species that's called the yellow baboons, there'll be anything from 20 to 100. They live in what we call troops, or what the collection down could be a congress of baboons, and they move together. When they sleep on top of trees, they sleep together, and when foraging, like during the day, always in groups, because that is their strength. Should they be attacked, definitely, they also defend themselves very aggressively. Now, that one is just running, and I would imagine the mother is trying, wherever the mother is, to get her and give her a ride. But because where they are, they have a lot to eat, they might stick here for quite some time. I was saying the other species of baboon we got in Kenya is called the yellow baboon, which is much smaller than this. What are you doing there? Are you taking... Yeah, at also that particular area around the genitalia, we also get a lot of ticks going there, and so she just stops there, and the younger one, out of, I think, submission, is like 1 minute, let me find out if there are any parasites here. How interesting is this? Clever animals, I would say, baboons, being primates. Very complex social structure they got. Not like the hyenas, but they're very intelligent animals. And this is so interesting. I haven't seen these for quite some time. And definitely the thing is, as I was saying earlier, Roshni, always good to hear your name and Merry Christmas. Baboons will take any animals if they need to. And I have seen baboons as a group way back in Serengeti, sometimes back, attacking a leopard that was on top of a tree. And they stayed below that tree, and the leopard refused to come down. But finally, the baboons went up, and they got the leopard, and they ate it. Now, this is very interesting. Look at the position of those two baboons. And that's the female that I was talking about earlier, who was checking on any parasites on this particular olive baboon. Now, one major difference between males and females, apart from the size, look at the mane on that particular baboon. Males have such huge manes. It's pretty big, and these ones are very peaceful because they're just helping each other, removing the parasites. But I think Steve got animals that are not having some good relationship.
Welcome to Chitwa Watering Hole, the largest of the watering holes that I know of up here, well, that we have access to anyway. Very nice, decent populations of hippopotamuses. And there's a couple youngsters there having a little bit of an argy-bargy in the shallows. They find it a bit boring to just sit in the water all day long and do nothing. So every now and again the youngsters will have a bit of a play. Well, we're all super jealous right now about how nice and cool the hippos are looking. Thankfully, sitting on the wall here where we are, there's a nice breeze flowing towards us. But, well, as I said, folks, it is very, very warm this afternoon. And while we stand here in anticipation for some elephants to come down, and for now there are none in sight, but that can change any moment as the giants that not only disappear into the thickets can emerge from them out of absolute nowhere. And a very special bird species that Davy is busy framing in on there now is the saddle-billed stork. I reckon there's only 60 breeding pairs of them in the whole Greater Kruger National Park, and we regularly find a pair here either at Chitwa or just below, sort of in the drainage, and you can easily tell the difference between the male on the right and the female on the left. If you look closely on the male, you'll actually see he's got that little yellow wattle sort of on his chin, and it's kind of just tucked in a little bit, and he's got a black eye. When the lady, she's standing a bit to the side though, so it's hard to see, but she lacks that little wattle. And if you get really in close, you'll see she's actually got a yellow eye. So the purpose of it is all about mate recognition. Obviously, if you're a bird and you all males and females look the same, it's quite tricky to ascertain who's who. That's when those camouflage birds generally have a beautiful voice for singing. But the saddle stork, me seeing the first family of them up in the Mara not so long ago. I wonder if David has seen them again. There were some young saddle storks that were following the adults for some time. And well, here we have got Catherine, fantastic looking bird indeed. Very, very special to see them. They are regarded as one of the big 6 bird species, the saddle storks, and they are very, very pretty. Probably the prettiest of the storks that I know of. Yellow-billed storks are quite pretty as well, but there's just something so majestic about these giants. And well, I think we would even be quite content just dipping our feet there, wouldn't we, boys? Yes, we would. Well, Darby was looking at the goslings there. Let's see if we can count them. It's actually quite tricky to count them. It's quite strange how, when they are close together like that, how difficult it is to sort of pick them apart. When they swim together, the parents are indeed bodyguards. Emma, let's see if we can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I don't know. It's hard to count. Can anybody count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe 10. It's quite hard. It's just a mass, and there's one at the back as well. 10 with one at the back. So these are doing very well. We're going to add to the children's novel that will be released soon by James Hendry himself from the goslings of Biffle's Hook watering hole. It's going to be called Where Have the Goslings Gone? And well, this one will be a happier version of the new generation. These parents seemingly are doing a very good job. But I've never seen as many Egyptian geese around a watering hole as I have seen here at Chitwa. A lot of water, a lot of grazing around. So those are the 2 prerequisites, obviously, for the goose. And they like to feed on aquatic vegetation. They are, as most ducks are, slightly filter feeders with their beaks. Their beaks are able to filter organic material out of the water. And well, they'll actively walk along the grasslands and graze. The youngsters themselves will follow the adults around, obviously after a little bit of a bath first, and they'll mimic and feed exactly how the adults do on grass seeds, on grasses. But we are feeling very jealous now of those wet-looking ducklings, goslings, that are clearly had a nice little bath. Cyan and the waterbucks were here moments ago. As we drove down into Chitwa, we found 3 young males just from last season. They were up the hill there, hiding in some shade. I can't see them now, but I have no doubt if we scan, we'll probably find that large male waterbuck who is pretty much always in attendance here and around. I'm just scanning with my binoculars. But as I said, it is warm, and David Gitu was talking yesterday, or was it this morning, about how waterbucks look like they are winter animals because of their long, shaggy coat. It must get very hot having a huge fleece on your back, don't you think? We're hot and we don't even have that. So no doubt there is some form of insulation in the winter months, and, well, how they keep cool in the summer months is a mystery. Okay, well, the hippos are laughing at my comment and laughing at how moist and cool they are versus us sitting in the baking sun. Well, question for David Gitu in the Mara. Has he seen the saddle stork youngsters?
Very good. After being entertained by the baboons, we moved on to try to look for something else. And again, as I say, today is a family day. Hopefully, we might see animal family of any sort, you know. It could be buffaloes, it could be lions, it could be elephants. So any family that we see today will be entertaining after having seen that baboon family. I'm not sure what I'm seeing on that other side of this ridge here. Let's just a little close and see there's anything of importance. Actually, I think it's quite a distance, but it's 12 o'clock there. Let's see if she's going to come out. There's a lioness there. Yeah, that's a very huge female lioness walking there. Not sure where she's from and where she's going. And my guess is this one would be the Olololo Pride, would be a member of the Olololo from the look of things and from where she is. She's definitely a member of the Olololo. I'm not sure she's alone. I mean, lions being very sociopath would be definitely moving in a group. So what I want to do, I want to move forward a little bit and find out if I might see another member. But if you allow me, I can move forward. Is it okay? So let me just move forward and turn the vehicle around and see if she is alone or she is with a group, because ideally lions will go together, and more so females. It's very unusual to see one female alone, but it's possible. And if you see one, she'll be alone for a couple of minutes, then she's going to rejoin the rest of the group. Let me just come and park here. She just have disappeared in the thickets. Let's see, because you can see her like 12 o'clock again. She is walking, not sure what she's up to, and she's heading towards some impalas which are a long way, and I do not think she would be bothered to hunt an impala. So for those who are joining us now, this one lioness belongs to a pride that we call the Olololo, and definitely the other members are about and around. It's very unusual to see, you know, lions on their own. So the other member could be somewhere in what you call a lager, a little depression, because it's pretty warm now, and maybe trying to cool off. So she has disappeared. We are just hoping she's going to pop up on that particular ridge she went in. Let's give her a few seconds, see if she'll come out again. If she doesn't, then we'll assume, yeah, there she is. Walking, no intent of doing anything. And my guess is, being this hot, should not maybe bother to hunt as much as even when it's hot. Lions have been known to hunt. And there she goes, fading away slowly. She could be going to join the other members, or trying to go get some water. That big forest there, that's where I'm guessing she would be heading to, and chances are the other lions could be there. When they are all together, the Olololo Pride is composed of 16 of them together, and 15 must be somewhere. But it's possible, yes. I mean, she would be having a little walk on Christmas, and maybe Christmas is time to do things differently from the lions. Ideally, as much as I was saying, you know, it's time for families. She might like, you know, we have been together for the last 1 year since the other Christmas. I think it's time I be on my own for a couple of minutes, and then maybe we'll meet for Christmas dinner. Who knows? Okay. So try and get a huge loop round on the other side and see whether I'm going to catch up with her. And sometimes even maybe on the way there, I might see the rest of the members, you know. This is exactly how things play out here. It's cooled off very nicely now. And you can see how green it is. It was very dry here just a couple of weeks ago, but we have received, or we got massive rains. And the other day we are having an estimate with my operations manager by the name of Steph, and we said in about 96 hours we might have received over 300 millimeters of rainfall, which by any standard that was a lot of rain. But that happens in the Mara, nothing out of the ordinary. In average in the Mara we get about 1,000 millimeters of rainfall in a year, but you see in about 2 weeks or less we almost got 30% of that amount. We've got a nice herd of elephants here, and I'm sure would be happy to show you being a family. How is that, Archie? Because there's one little calf that was just nursing a few seconds ago, and the mother was like, yes, I know it's Christmas, but you're not going to nurse anymore. I talked of doing family drive today. Any one animal you see on its own, I'm not going to stop. So it's family again, and this is, elephant family here, and this whole herd of them. There could be two herds that are like very close to each other, and you can see there's another car way back on the big road there enjoying this sighting. Good question, Puma. You're asking if any of these elephants here is tuskless. No, not that I can see at the moment, if that was your question, but ideally, all the ones I see, they all got their tusks full. Once in a while, we have seen elephants without tusks, and there has always been a very big debate why that happens. There's some which genetically are born without tusks, and not much can be done about that. That's a genetical issue. And we got others that along the way, as they grow, they'll have little fight and they break their tusks. They could break one, they could break both, or occasionally also they get sick and they lose their tusks. So it would happen. There's that one youngster there that I do not think does it have tusks? Yes, it has tusks. I was thinking it does not have. That's a very good way to socialize. But look at the tail again. We're talking earlier of a baboon with a half tail, and that one has a half tail also. And that's a very friendly way to socialize. Bonding, either definitely they are related coming from the same family. And my guess is they're saying Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to each one of them. I do not know what language they would use to do that, but just see how green and beautiful it is here after the rains. Well, apart from the big animals we're showing you, the big mammoths, Steve got a feathered friend for Christmas.
Yes, well, you can't help birding sometimes. One of my favorite pastimes. And, well, this marsh sandpiper on the right is really, really getting to us now. He was running around on the edge. That was fine. But now he's having a proper bath. Beautiful, beautiful bird. On the left, the three-banded plover. Much smaller version. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, that's a common sandpiper. I didn't see him properly before. I thought it was a plover, but it's not. Actually much bigger. You can see the one on the right's got a long, straight beak. If you could see its legs, they are yellow. And the common sandpiper on the left is notorious for shaking his bottom. And on the shoulder, there's a little bit of a white C on the shoulder, and a little bit of a line across the eye. You can quite easily see that now, although the feathers are all ruffled. But anyway, we stopped because there are a number of birds here. There are two white-faced whistling ducks, which are often occurring in quite large numbers. Sometimes they do pair off, though, for breeding. Talking about breeding, one of the funniest birds around this time of year is the knobbed-billed or the comb duck, that for some purpose develops this huge knob on the end of its face when it comes to breeding time. In non-breeding time, it does not have that. A female doesn't have it, so what advantage it actually gives, I am not too sure. And then behind them, of course, is the blacksmith lapwing, and it's possible that in female on the right there might be on eggs. It's hard to say. Oh, I don't even know if it's a female. They're identical, blacksmith lapwings. And then lastly, but not least, there are some very special birds on the bank there that I had a number of times earlier this. Oh, there's a three-banded plover on the bottom right, the smallest of the birds in this situation. And there we've got the two collared pratycoles, which are, well, they were here last season at Chitwa. I'd never seen them before, so it was a lifer for me. I managed to get a black-winged pratycole up in the Masai Mara, which was very, very cool. But how nice is that for a little bit of a birding afternoon? We were going to move off and see if we could find some warthogs maybe in the open clearing, because David quite likes the warthog family that hangs around here. And no, Emma, no partridges or pear trees, but all the birds have come out to play today. So just goes to show the diversity that we can have around a very small watering hole. And the geese feed on organic material, so do the ducks, green material, the pipers, sandpipers and the like. They feed on insects, aquatic insects. And the shape of the beak of most of the birds that you will see and the length of the legs indicates how they feed. So obviously you can see the lapwings on the right don't have very long legs, a little bit longer than the plover, so they could probably go a little bit deeper and they just pluck insects off the surface, whereas the sandpipers and all of those other individuals with modified beaks are able to access subterranean insects with their probing-like beak. But all the birds you find in and around watering holes, the diversity between them is enormous. The beak might bend just slightly up, or just slightly down, or just straight. Julian, you're asking about if there's any conflict between them, and the purpose of what I was saying now, of them being slightly longer legs or slightly longer beak, or the beak goes a little bit this way or straight, means that they sort of have a different feeding niche. So they separate themselves in feeding height, depth, angle, whatever it might be. But when you look sometimes at the plovers or the lapwings, the blacksmith lapwings are often very territorial of their little patch and will often chase smaller birds, namely the three-banded plover. Will chase them away, but they don't really compete with geese and the like, although Egyptian geese are often very, very sort of overwhelming around water sources and will often chase other birds away as they're trying to secure enough food. And there we go. You can see a little bit of there's the yellow legs. See how long and straight that beak is. Nice yellow legs can come in a little bit deeper than some other birds, and the design of the beak is oh, hello. It's one of those specialized feeding strategies called probing, where you're able to stick the beak, and see how the beak actually slightly curves up, very gently curves up. So looking for subterranean insects, worms, snails that might be in the sort of wetland area just under the water surface or along the river bank or along the water's edge. But for now, it is time to bath. This is the time of day many a bird likes to bath because, well, once they've cleaned themselves of dust and applied their oil, it's a good time to still be able to dry before the evening arrives. And it's busy preening as we go, zipping through each of the flight feathers there with the beak, which is then zipping them back into place so as to be able to fly efficiently. Very good. Okay, well, we're going to move off and see if we can find this warthog family for David, and, well, who knows what else we might find. We're hoping some elephants are going to come here, so we're going to loop around, come back, and then take it from there. But in the meantime, David Gitu is still with a beautiful family of elephant.
Well, I got elephants, and it's a different herd from what I had before, because today I say it is a family day, so it will be also for animals to be in families. And this herd, of course, unlike the lioness which we were watching earlier, that I told you belongs to the Oloro pride, these elephants do not belong to a particular herd, but they're nice to watch. After the rains have gone, their tusks again are starting to get a little bit dirty, because with the rains they were washed and everything looked sparkling clean. I'm sure we know that elephant tusks are part of their dentition, which of course it's modified, like incisors that they'll always use to break things if they need to, fights once in a while. But I'm looking at the background, how they blend in with the grass, with the green grass, and it's, to me, just amazing. So in a herd like this, there'll be definitely one female. Elephants are just like hyenas. They're very matriarchal. So there'll be one female that will be in charge of this whole family here. In general, sometimes it's always like the largest in size, but that's not always the case. Sometimes we look at the elephant that we think is the oldest. So the oldest cow in general will be the leader of the herd. That one goes a bit of mud. Sometimes when they pick the grass, they tend to shake off the soil, and sometimes it's shaken in the wrong direction and it lands on their forehead. That's what I would guess on that one. And that explains about the soil chemistry of the Mara Triangle, talking of the black cotton soil, which is pretty sticky, black in color, unlike the clay. So this is the kind of soil when it rains a lot and you get stuck, or especially if you get to the rut of the road, you could easily stay overnight. I'm wondering Ellis, if you look on their feet, they got very wide feet and they got a huge circumference, I would say. And the intelligent animals, they will know where to go and where not to go. I mean, you've seen some of the big boys going up to 5-6 tons in terms of weight. So you would imagine that would easily get stuck. But because of their wide feet, they have a very good stability. They have got, oops, two of them are having a little chasing each other there. They have very good, their center of gravity is quite low. But ideally, they will know where to go and where not to go. There have been cases of elephants getting stuck in swamps. That is always very accidental, when maybe because of their weight, they end up in very soft ground, or some areas are very swampy. But it's very unusual to see an elephant getting stuck. You'll see sometimes the babies getting stuck on very muddy areas, like those babies there, and you see how intelligent these elephants are, and especially the cows, how they give them small little push with their trunks, and if need be, they just, tie their trunks around their legs or around their trunks, and they just pull them out. Otherwise, I've seen a cow pushing its own baby using the trunk, and it came out of a small little hole where she accidentally fell in. Sammy Jane, you say you love an Ellie Balm. Yes, and look at that particular one. And they are huge, huge animals when especially you see them. A friend of mine was telling me one day he was out camping, and very basic camping. And he had to wake up at night to go and have a wee. And close to where they camped, or where they had camped, there were some little bushes which elephants love eating. And the thing is, he said, when he came out of his tent, he found an Ellie that was doing number 2, and the whole dung went to his face, and that was the end of his camping, because the following day he just, had to knock down his tent, and he moved on. He did not stay there any other day because he was very traumatized. We are talking of this huge Ellie, and just having, poo on your face, which was quite scary. So the big animals, by any standard, they may look small if you look at them from a distance, but if you stand next to an Ellie, you know how big they are. So if you look at that one carefully, you can see the right tusk is a little longer than the left one. We have always said elephants, like human beings, are either left-handed or right-handed. So that's a car that's just coming also to enjoy the view of these Ellies on Family Day that I was talking about. But I think Steve got warthogs which are also looking like family on Christmas Day.
Indeed, we have successfully managed to find the warthog family, although David is quite sad because there used to be 8 of these little piglets. There are now 2, with one vigilant mum who's just stepped behind a bush for now. But they are grazing, as we saw them last time we were here as well, keeping to the shade. That's very clever. It's very hot out, and if you can graze in the shade, well, why not? Able to access food in the hottest times of the day. This is the time of day, well, when your predators, leopards and lions, no doubt, that have stolen the other 6 youngsters, are less active. So a good time to be able to move around and really pig out, as it were, on the grazing grasses, and, well, learning the technique of going down on their knees quite efficiently as they move forward, like a wheelbarrow or a plough, just sort of digging into the soil. Sometimes they dig into the soil. Now they're probably just taking the juicy shoots that are coming out. But as the season dries, as it gets more or less accessible, the warthogs are able to actually dig up and eat the grass roots themselves, because most of the grasses out here get grazed quite low down, but not many animals are capable of actually accessing the roots. But warthogs, classified as a category 3 feeder, because if unchecked, their populations can degrade the vegetation, removing roots, leading to soil erosion and obviously environmental problems down the line. But being in the savannah, these disturbances that they create in a natural balance with predators is very, very normal and part and parcel of what the savannah is all about. Without disturbance, the savannah would not be the system that it is. It's prone to fire, it's prone to drought, It's prone to warthogs and huge wildebeest numbers. It's prone to elephant damage, aardvark diggings, porcupine damage in holes in the ground, as well as damage to trees. Constantly changing, never sitting in one place, always moving from one threshold to another. And well, the warthog, as we know, relying on the other keystone species, the aardvark, for creating those holes in the ground for them to hide. But for now, we've got 3 very happy looking piggies on Christmas Day. I wonder if they have any idea what significance this day is for most of the people in the world. Many people eat gammon on a day like this. I wonder if anyone in South Africa ever uses warthog instead of gammon. What do you reckon, Darby? I know it was a... Oh, what was that bird? I think that was a violet-backed starling. I'm going to move up, Darby. I'd love to see one. I haven't seen a violet-backed starling yet this year. It's also gone into the shade next to the warthogs. Just lay down, land. There we go. Yes, that's one of the coolest birds. Oh, there it flies. There's a male violet-backed starling. I managed to get him. Sorry, Darby. Let's move up here. He's landed in that tree. Used to be known as the plum-coloured starling. The female is quite nondescript, but the male, well, there we go. The female's just flown in. He's next to the females on the right, and up a bit, and there's the male on the left. Well, they're not in the best light right now, so I'll show you a picture, but he's in breeding plumage. In non-breeding plumage, he does not have such a beautiful coloration. Looks just like the female. We saw those starlings earlier, the Burchell starling. They are the iridescent ones with the blue, whereas we've still got the piggies over here. Well, these ones, the male does become iridescent, but for probably very different reasons than the other starlings. The iridescence you find in the normal starlings is actually carotenids, which are lead to sort of light reflecting cells in the feathers, which allow them to be quite insulated and also reflecting heat. So maybe not only does the male... Hello, Cenac. Sorry, I'll finish my thoughts there. You want to know what other birds do probing? Well, sorry about my break there. The green woodhoopers, all the woodhoopers in fact, the scimitar, they are probers. Who else? A lot of the aquatic shorebirds that you see walking around with long straight beaks. The pied avocet, the whimbrel, curlew. There are many birds across the world with some form of beak for probing. But it's not only aquatic. We've also got the hoopus, normal hoopoo, the African wood hoopoo, the violet-back, and the scimitar, just off the top of my head. Well, anyway, here is... Let me just wipe my screen, because my screen gets fingerprints on it very easily. Hosana, you right on the dashboard. Are you going to be okay for me to just, use some of your space there to show the viewers this beautiful bird? I'm sure he will be. Look at that guy. Isn't that gorgeous? So that is the breeding plumage of the male. You can see where the name plum probably came from before. And if I show you, I'll swipe to get a female. There's the male standing in the light. There he is. They use cavity nests. All starlings have a cavity nest. And there is the female. So she's not as colourful as him or as interesting looking. Quite easily mistaken for thrushes. A lot of thrushes have that very similar sort of posture and body shape. But if you look through them, you can actually do quite well. But this time of year, the starlings are here. And, well, the little youngster is having a little lie down on the right there, Darby, as he chews his food. Hello. They're quite relaxed, aren't they? They moved away when I moved up for the starling. And now they've found some more shade. And looks like he's chewing gum. Linda, it is one of those very, very attractive birds that we see commonly in the summer months when obviously there's lots of food around. Because being a starling, they are primarily insect eaters. They'll feed probably on some fruit at some time. I'm not 100% sure, but primarily insect eaters and breeding in holes, tree cavities. And lots of the birds that we have around at the moment are the cuckoos, and they often are parasitized by either, well, most birds out here, lots of cuckoos are parasitizing them, but in fact, hole nesting birds, generally hole nesting birds are not I'm really struggling to get that word out. Parasitized. And many of the nesting birds, they build some form of woven nest or some form of nest that the cuckoos go there, whereas hole nesting birds, specifically starlings, are often parasitized by the honey guides. Honey guides are indeed a brood parasite, and they choose tree cavities for their nesting. Not that they lay any eggs, well, not that they stay for very long. They'll go inside, push out the eggs of the starling, lay their own eggs, and very, very rude, that honey guide will learn how to become a honey guide even though its parents were starlings. But anyway, let's go back up to the Masai Mara. David Gitu, I didn't quite copy what he's doing, but no doubt he's going to be full of interesting things.
Well, talking of birds, we have seen certain egrets riding on elephant backs, but now we got some leaves from the torchwood tree that are just riding on this particular elephant back. Earlier we saw one female that had a lot of mud and on the forehead, where I said sometimes when they pick some grass, like what he is doing here, see the amount of mud on the tusk there. That's when they dig themselves, in the mud, or when they want to cool off. And then if they need to shake the grass to remove the soil, some of it gets on their forehead. So I'm trying to think this one was having some kind of branches or leaves of the torchwood tree, and it was shaking them, and they ended up on his back. And we're looking at his forehead. His forehead looks a little bit rounded, and that one tells you 110% he is a boy. Sometimes it's tricky to tell boys from girls, but sometimes normally we look at the forehead to tell or to know what sex an elephant could be if fully grown. You can see how wrinkled his skin is, and we have always thought that helps to increase the surface area. Vicky, you're right, and being Christmas, that's a great comment. He might want to look a bit different than normal. Actually, want me to just, yes, thank you, Archie, for that. So maybe with me having my Christmas hat on, the elephant, Vicky, want to have something different than its normal greyish, dark color, which they look, and it could be sending a message, this is Christmas, who knows? Let me just back up one more look on this boy, and we're gonna move on. We have done very well with elephants, and it's not very far from the females we saw before, and in general the females tend to be on their own. Hello, boy. Keep coming. And if you look at him carefully, his left tusk is much shorter than the right one. And I'm sure we have said this before, elephants, like human beings, could be either left-handed or right-handed, and my guess is this one is left-handed. And all the other people on the left top of your screen there are also enjoying this wonderful sighting of elephants on a Christmas day. There's so many people now who are visiting the Mara, and the Mara, just like in Juma, yeah, I'm sure you can hear him putting the grass. Can you hear that? That's very typical. So you can imagine the amount of grass they lift from the grass, and they uproot, and then they feed themselves. So the left tusk, if you also look at it, it has more mud than the right one, confirming that this boy here is left-handed. Just like we human beings, we are either right-handed or left-handed. And if whatever they want to put from the ground doesn't come out, they'll sometimes give it a small little kick with your leg just to make their life a lot easier. Very intelligent animals they are, Ellis. See how he's holding that left leg, the front one? So whatever he wants, it doesn't come out. It'll get like a football, and then it'll just come up, making it, picking grass, small little shrubs, not only grass, anything they get. And that's one advantage elephants have over many herbivores. They'll feed on anything green they get, including tree barks, twigs, leaves, roots of certain trees. Very good. Nice job here by this Ellie bull. And I think Steve still got his pigs.
Yes, David, well, from your tusks all the way down to our tusks once again, we have found, now to David's delight, the actual warthog family that he saw last time. And there are, I think, 7. There are 7 youngsters and 3 adults there. Now, a female warthog with a gestation period of about 6 months can give birth to 8, but more commonly you find them with 2 to 3. A lot of that's got to do with early fatalities or mortalities in the population, and well, the piglets are much easier to catch than the adults. As we know, Hukumuri has been a warthog specialist all the time we've known him. It is indeed Christmas for these guys as well, as they now have been feeding and now sitting in the shade to cool off. Warthogs are never very far from water. We can almost see Chitwa Dam from where we are, just up the hill. This is an area that they have done some bush clearing in, and so there's a lot more grass regenerating back. And warthogs don't really like to be caught in the thickets. From a habitat preference, they like to be in the open. Their eyesight is not very good. They can see movement from probably about 40 meters or so, but they're very, very poor eyesight. Hearing and smell is pretty decent, but they need to be able to run away and hopefully be able to spot whatever predator it is that is approaching. Nancy, warthogs, most certainly. I mean, these youngsters here, it's possible that they're quite young. They probably are still requiring being weaned. They're still a little bit too young for that. They are feeding a little bit, but no doubt, there will be a little bit of milk production still. But in a few weeks to a month maybe, they will be past that stage and will easily be able to survive by feeding just on the vegetation itself. Very cute, the little mohawks. They're sticking very close to the adults. Strength together. They don't want to be separated. One of them was obviously separated at some point and, well, has not come home again. Hence there are only 7. There you can see that's a female. You can see the number of mammary glands she's got there on her belly. She's quite swollen, full of milk, so still producing the milk for her little bunch of piglets. As they walk from one shady spot to the next, almost in one at a time. As a safety point of view, yes, it's so nice down here on Chitwa to be able to see the warthogs for a period of time. I know on Juma, wow, we're not far away. But the warthogs on Juma are very, very scared. Well, they run at the slightest of sounds. Little trotty youngster. I love it when they run. I wonder if any of you were live with me in the Mara when I was driving along the road and there was a warthog running next to the road, and I was driving at about 45 kilometers an hour, just under the speed limit in the Mara, and that warthog was keeping pace quite easily as it was just charging. So nice to be driving on the road just to see how fast it could go, and it wasn't even giving it all. So amazing when these individuals want to get away, how quickly they can move. And from a standing start, they've got incredible acceleration and they can really move off. And that's the reason with that acceleration, that lightning quick acceleration, that if they do happen to get the predator to hesitate for a moment, that they could often get away. That's why many times we like to talk about sort of that white hair on the face. You happy there, Darby? There we go. They're standing 3 in a row. That's quite a nice picture in the shade. So that fur on the face that we often talk about, you know, the adults have got the tusks, but the tusks take time to grow. You can see that one has got the large tusk on the top and then the one underneath that is being sharpened every time it bites. They've got the white sort of mustache beard stripe. The youngsters have got the same stripe on their face, and as we know, that gives them a moment, well, a predator, a moment of thought. Oh, there's tusks there. I might have to be careful about attacking that thing, and that gives the youngsters a moment to move off very, very quickly. Obviously, they're never too far from their preferred burrows or holes in the ground where they can seek refuge, turning in and reversing in backwards. The best alley docking you will ever see. Also can go running at a hole at top speed and somehow turn very quickly, going bottom first into the hole. But for now, there doesn't seem to be any threat on the horizon. The only threat potentially is dehydration, but they're not too far away from the water. Well, we're going to loop around and we'll maybe make a detour past the pan again. Maybe some animals might have come down, namely elephants, but Sydney is not on the search for cats. He's looking for hyena.
I've just arrived now by the hyena den where I just found nothing. It looks like the hyenas are right in there, as it is very much hot outside here at the moment, so the little ones must be hiding in there. This is the Juma den. Hyenas, the Juma clan, this is their royal area. Remember, the hyenas, they stay as a matriarchal structure, as a matriarchal system, which is much more related to the royal system. So here is where this clan is staying. So normally when the adults are around, you will see the little ones coming out playing with these babies. But because there is nothing here, I'm just going to carry on and see if we can find any other animal here. Earlier on, I was around here. I saw one hyena, but not at the den, around the area. It was going much more, crossing Muluwati during the day, much more towards central. Maybe somewhere there is where there is some food for the afternoon. So now, before this lilac-breasted roller disappears, let's quickly go back to David by the Masai Mara.
Well, yes, let's go and stay with the roller because she is in the right place. And I might also say he is in the right place because this one is called a lilac-breasted roller. And in general, rollers are very difficult to tell them apart. Rollers may not have what we call, rollers are basically not sexually dimorphic. And it's very difficult to tell male from a female. The only thing we may guess intelligently is when you get two together and pick on one. If they're fully grown and they're both adults, the one that might be slightly bit larger than the other, slightly, not much, that will be the male. And when I'm saying slightly, it's also difficult for us to tell who could be slightly bit bigger than the other. Excuse me. I would say this bird is the most celebrated bird in Africa in any form or shape that you may think of. And she or he is the most photographed bird, I would say, the whole of Africa. Generally, they perch on trees, and any part of Africa you go, I would say, for example, in the desert, places with no trees, it's almost impossible to see rollers. They must have some trees to perch. If she sees something to feed on, you see all the torchwood trees you see there? These are very iconic trees of the Mara Triangle, and we call them torchwood trees, or Balanitis aegyptiaca. If you'd see them in areas where there is no tree cover, it would be very difficult for them to be seen, unless maybe is a particular roller that we call the European roller that we will be passing and en route to somewhere. So they need to see their food from up there, and then like exactly what he or she is doing, fly down and catch something and fly right back to the tree. You see what she did? I guess she got something. We'll be finding out now. She's on the edge of that tree. Maybe she got herself or himself. Yes, she did. And you see, she is just swallowing. So that was a kill. She did, albeit very quickly. So they normally perch up there. Yeah, there was a kill on Christmas, and I think she has or he has started to have her dinner. Let's call her she for now. And she already started having her dinner for Christmas. So they remain in such areas because they need such vantage point to spot things. Yes, this morning I was competing with Sydney and Steve, and they beat me hands down. But I would want us to start the game, and I would say the game on. Let's find out who is going to beat the other on this Christmas afternoon. I already got 1 kill. Let's see what they're going to do. So they basically need all these trees. Otherwise, without the trees to patch on, it's very difficult for them to spot game. And that's why I said areas where there are no tree cover, it's very difficult to see these rollers. It's the national bird of Kenya, but apparently also the national bird of Botswana. Well, I think she got another kill and right back to the same tree. So those are 2 kills in a row. And I'm sure M in the final control is going to tell Sydney and Steve they're not doing very well now because I got 2 kills. The only thing I do not know is what kills she got. Very well done, roller. My guess is definitely an insect of some sort. So I think I'm winning. I do not see whether anybody will beat me with 2 kills this afternoon. It could be either, a grasshopper or some kind of locust or a beetle. They love beetles a lot, but from the grass she's flying down to, my only guess is she's getting a winged insect that would tend to be on the grass. Beetles tend to be in open areas looking for dung to, make the balls, and then they lay their eggs and then digging them in to bury them. I'm just thinking either grasshoppers, locusts. And then she cleans her beak, as you can see there. She very quickly cleans her beak, just like some, what are these birds I'm talking about? Kingfishers, they would do. Kingfishers will behave the same. They'll be up either on the banks of a river or on little trees, spot something in the water, pick it up, go back more or less the same spot, clean their beaks, and then watch again, and then go fishing. But now this one here is just making 2 quick kills. And definitely what she's doing, she's looking again on the ground to see whether she might spot another insect. Matt, you say this is very cool and couldn't be better. If you've been watching, we have seen this roller bringing 2 kills down. That is very interesting on a Christmas day. And we have always requested you for comments like that one. That's a very good comment. Questions too, you can always tweet on #SafariLive. And look at the beauty of the Mara. Very open countryside comparing to Juma, which Juma has very thick vegetation. In the Mara we have more of the savanna, and you could easily see up to, look at that, excuse me about my head, in the background there, that's the Olorol escarpment. And these scattered trees here, you'll never miss them. They're very iconic of this area of the Mara Triangle, and remaining green all around the area. Well done with the roller, 2 kills. That was pretty special, and I'm sure now the heat is on Sydney. And Sydney, we're going to go have one more quick look on that roller. You never know, she might go down again. Let's just see. They don't take long before they spot their prey, and you can see that tree is definitely dead but still standing, and I'm sure at one point it was green. And even times of fire, these trees don't catch fire. They still tend to remain as green as they are. And as much as they die, they remain standing, which makes very good vantage points for the rollers. So she's looking, if you see, her head has an angle looking down, and they'll concentrate, and by looking, they'll always get the depth of whatever they may want to go for. Sometimes they make decisions not to go for, if they think it's going to be a very big prey, they might ignore it. But I also want to think they also go for small reptiles too. I'm talking of small little skinks or lizards. More, yes, that's very possible. Being on a Christmas day, that's a very great possibility, and very good to hear your name, and very Merry Christmas. More. Now go down. We need one more kill before I leave here. Go down. are a lot more. Want to see one more kill? I think we've seen 2. We need 3. And I'm sure if we see a third one, Steve and Sydney will be in a lot of trouble this afternoon. Come on, keep looking hard. Don't listen at me. Am I too loud? And you can see the elongated tail there. It reminds me of another roller called the Racket roller. Please go get one more. Of all the birds I know of this size in Africa, this particular roller, the lilac-breasted, have wonderful colors. Sidon, you're asking about sunbirds, and I'll tell you, sunbirds got very different feeding habits with the rollers. Sunbirds, we say they hawk. Sunbirds will always fly a little high, much higher, I would say, than rollers, and they'll always tend to catch their food in flight. So they tend to hawk in the air, catch insects, catch butterflies, catch moths, and then you just swallow them and eat them when still flying. But the rollers will always tend to stick in the same place, and they first spot their game before going down. All right, it's one big difference between feeding habits of rollers and the sunbirds. All right, the bee eaters, getting a little dark. We need now to look for something else. We also see sunbirds a lot here, and sunbirds will always go looking for flowers, and you get them having their long beaks and just sucking nectar from the flowers. So totally different feeding habits. We might say occasionally sunbirds could be more of vegetarians than the rollers. Rollers basically is meat, and I'm talking of insect, while the sunbirds will be sucking nectar from all the flowers. All right, moving on. Hopefully I'll be seeing better stuff to beat my friends in South Africa. But let's first give Steve a bit of heat now.
Thanks, David. I love heat. We're in the heat. You've got the sun. You've got the sunset. Dave, sorry, I know we're looking at these little impala, but there's 2 oxpeckers at their feet that are behaving very interestingly. I've never seen oxpeckers walking around on the floor. I've seen them on the floor and then take off. But they're actively walking around next to these impala. Their beaks are open to cool down, obviously. These are the red-billed oxpeckers that get most of their moisture from the ticks that they eat, but you often find them coming to watering holes to not only drink but to wait for the arrival of tick-carrying animals. They're also known to do a little bit of hawking from time to time and feed on other insects, but I've never seen too much of that. There we go. That's where they want to be, on the back of the little baby impala. And don't they look enormous on that little one's back? Must be so strange to have this animal jumping around on you. Oh, in my ear. Right in the ear. That must be the strangest feeling. So the reason why the beaks are open is that birds don't sweat, and they need to cool down by a process called gullah fluttering. By opening their mouth, the moisture on the tongue, the wind blowing over it, is what cools them down. And without that, the insulated hair or feathers that they have, and that one closest to us is doing a weird little display with its wings. Yeah, it's like going quite flat. It was doing that on the ground. I wonder if it's maybe a mating pair that's going through some form of courtship. But anyway, with the insulation that these birds have, those of you who have seen it before, when Dave gets the FLIR camera out and you have a look at a bird, you almost can't see them because the insulation of the feathers doesn't show the heat and it doesn't give off any heat. So they can get quite hot. Works very well for cold mornings and cold days, but if you can't cool down, you're going to overheat. And well, most animals, there's a specific temperature range that they maintain themselves in between to maintain body processes so the brain doesn't cook. But lovely to be with these impala. I'm sad that I was in the Mara for the beginning of it. The first month is the best time to be with the young impalas. They are just too cute, aren't they? Very, very special. Pat, you were here for them though, weren't you? He was here. First time. It's like the migration. You've got to see it for yourself to really experience how Nice. How nice it is to see thousands of baby impala and hundreds of thousands of wildebeest. So the viewers are feeling sorry for the impala. Well, don't feel sorry for the impala. It's in a herd, it's happy, and it's being groomed and cleaned. Everybody likes a little bit of an ear tickle every now and again, don't you? Get an earbud in there and just give it a little bit of a wax move around. No? Just me? Some of you out there who secretly love it. David, no. Oxpeckers don't go on anything that eats meat because, well, they get eaten. They don't go near jackal, any cats. Okay, so just to, before I finish my thought, Pat's going to be taking over shortly, so I want him to decide where he wants to go. Left or right, Pat? Right. Okay. Otherwise, I take him down there and then the whole plan he's got for the afternoon is thwarted. We don't want that. We don't want that. So this is Cheetah Cutline Torchwood on the right, Juma on the left, Chitra behind us. So no, oxpeckers will only hang out on herbivores, and there's only specific ones as well. Elephants, for example, smash them off because, you know, if you can do this, well, oxpecker's going to get hit. So the elephant can do that with its trunk. So they don't go near elephants. You find them in all the big animals though, giraffe, buffalo, rhino, of course, and then I think warthog from time to time. I've seen them, and sometimes zebra. I've never seen them on zebra here, but in the Mara I saw lots of them on zebra, bearing in mind they were yellow-billed. So I've never seen a zebra in South Africa with an oxpecker, which is quite interesting. Quite interesting. Obviously, when I saw it in the Mara, it had... Joe, I don't think it ever happens really. The oxpeckers are just sort of combing through, and yes, sometimes they go close to the eye, but I don't think they ever cause any damage. Who knows, there could be an occupational health hazard in having an oxpecker near your eye. I don't know if they've got any unions for this sort of thing in the wildlife industry, but if anything, there's a lot more benefits to the oxpecker than there are drawbacks. The only time you really see negatives with the oxpeckers is when they keep a wound open. It's very often seen in giraffe, where they actually keep open a wound and keep open lesion, which then leads to infection. And they are transmitters of a disease called papillomavirus. What is that in the road? Yeah, well, we found the 3 wildebeest on the fence. On the fence. I'm losing my words. I think my brain's cooking in this heat. The 3 amigos up ahead. Let's go and have a look. Do a little segment with the wildebeest. Or maybe when you come back, it'll be... No, you can go to David. We're going to go to David with his lion now. And when you come back, you'll meet young Patrick Fitzgerald with some wildebeest. But while we prep to go up to the Masai Mara, where there are thousands more wildebeest than here.
Got some lions here, but it's a bit of a traffic jam here. We may need to make way for a school bus that's behind us. So just hang on, and so we're going to move a little bit to the left. Just hold on. Archie, hold on. Just holding on. There's a school bus right behind us, and everybody's very excited to see these lions. So we're going to move a little bit up. How's that, Archie? Okay, I think we've created enough room. And being holidays in Kenya now, most of the schools are closed and the kids are out home. And you can hear the bus just revving behind us. And I hope he got some room for him to go. I just want to direct him and guide him a little bit. So just another 1 second. He's good to go. Keep going, well done. And he has managed. So this is part of the one lioness you saw from a distance. This is of the same pride, and these are what we call the olololo. And got elephants in the background there, and got everybody just coming to enjoy these ellies. I think being holidays saying the schools in Kenya now are closed and everybody's at home. And what would happen, people also want to bring their families and enjoy the safari. And that's why there's a bit of traffic where we are. Lions is always exciting, even to the local people. And those to me look like youngsters. and they are members of the Ololo Pride that we saw before. So what we saw could have been one huge female, and these are youngsters. As I said earlier, when they are all together, they make a pride, or they're composed of 16. That's one of the, I would say not one of, it's the largest pride of lions we got in the Mara. So they may stay in that grass there for quite some time. The survey and mothers of these youngsters, the one female you saw, by funds very. But if the elephants would decide to walk in this direction, I can tell you for this will have to wake up and give way. Not that the elephants would want to, hurt them in any way, but definitely elephants don't like seeing lions on the way. And you might have missed my sound there earlier. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes you get these technical issues, but I am back and back in business. Still watching the Ololo Pride, and these are the youngsters. Oops, you're going down. The two of them there, apparently, they seem to be two boys, and there's a third one there. I've counted about 4 in total, and we might be seeing maybe a bigger number. If they all decide to wake up, we might be seeing more than what we have at the moment. So the females or the adults were on their own, and these youngsters are on their own here. Typical lion, flat, turning once in a while. It's exact. They are stretches, but ideally once it cools off, the will start moving around. So if anybody wasn't here before, because we saw friends of mine who had stopped here, and this is how we came to know the lions, it could be very difficult to spot them unless you see them flicking their tails like that. But of course on very close look, otherwise without looking at them carefully, it's easy just to see them and pass and miss them. Not in a rush. I'll spend a few more minutes here. If they wake up fine, we'll have a look at them. If they don't, then we'll move on. But let's go back to South Africa, to Sydney, and give him a bit of heat from what I'm trying to give them from Kenya.
You can see I've got one of the very fluffy animal. This is a male nyala, and this male nyala is not alone. There is another nyala which is following, still very much young. So the hairs on these nyalas are very much important because they use them in order to exaggerate the body size when they are challenging each other for territorial purposes. Before they fight, nyalas can be so interesting. You'll see them approaching each other on slow motion, one wanting to pass to the other side as the other one is going in the back. And it takes time. Before they fight, it can take 45 minutes to an hour, even more when they're displaying their their body size. So here there is two small water holes. I'm sure this has been dug by the elephant. So these nyalas are drinking there. One is drinking by the other side. I saw that the elephant has also been here not long time ago because the water has just been spread all over the place there. Chris, this is a good looking male. If you check there now, the color is still much more light. It's not as dark as the old one. So I'm just going to reverse a little bit so that we can show you this other dark one there, as it's also drinking somewhere nearby. Then you can easily see the difference in terms of the color. So the matured males, they look like this. You can see that the color is much more darker on this one drinking now. So you can see that these animals, they are so very much inquisitive. When the other one is coming closer, it's also frightening the one who was drinking. And they keep looking to the direction where they were coming from. Maybe they were teased by something or a small predator on that side. So the animals such as leopard, imagine when they catch a nyala like this, with fluffy hairs is quite a big job in order for the leopard to get rid of these hairs when they are feeding, because they must have to use the tongue in order to take off all these hairs. Elena, unfortunately, they don't shed. So these hairs you are seeing on them, they are just permanent hairs. So, but sometimes when losing some, you will see some of these hairs coming back. You can see this male has got a lot of bears, and the fluffy white hairs coming down by the back of their tail, by the back of their legs, they also underneath their tail. So you can see they've got a V-line in the middle of the face. So that V-line, they use it as a defense mechanism. When they see a predator, they normally vibrate the skin on their face, and that normally confuses the predators as if these animals are dangerous. Them and the kudus, they've got same kind of a stripe in the middle of the forehead. So you can see they're still here and still drinking. So they are still together here. So now we are going to take you to Patrick, who is also out now with the blue wildebeest.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Very happy to be with you all today. My name is Patrick, and joining me on camera we have Davosito. I have tagged out with Stevovo, so we still are on the same vehicle. Now, just before we left, we did have the blue wildebeest, or the brindled, sorry. So I was just learning the word brindled, and it's that kind of charred appearance that you see if you were to put something on the grill. We can definitely see that right here with this wildebeest. See those very distinct lines there. Now, it is a very hot day. I think last I checked was 36 degrees Celsius or 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very hot, but these guys would actually be coping a lot better than other antelopes. So they have a very specialized muscle cell that really is efficient in terms of metabolism. So they can be working up a lot of a sweat, they can be really overworking, and their muscles won't be producing that much heat from their metabolism, which means that they can go longer and they can also go further on a very hot day like today. Very cool. Now they are the only antelope here in Juma, here on the western boundary of the Kruger National Park. One of the 8 species that we frequently see here, and the only ones that actually both sexes have horns. We were having a bit of a discussion about this the other day, and it seems it's more because of their preference of habitat. A lot of the habitat preference here of the antelopes are kind of closed areas where there's a lot of protection from natural sources such as trees and long grass, places to hide and places to evade predators. Whereas if you were to be in an open habitat, then you need a lot more defense. So the females will also have horns because they need to defend their young in an open habitat. They don't have the trees and the other places to hide it out. So a bit of a plan today. I am going to just check a lot of the water sources around. I'm going to head up north right now to Buffelshoek and check up there, and then come back down and have a look at Voyatella Dam and also Galago Pan to see what's around. It is a very hot day, as I've mentioned, and I think our best chances of finding animals today are near shady sources and water sources. So I'll be investigating them along the way. Anything we see on that journey is just a bonus. There has been a few elephants around lately, and of course on days like today they're just going to be making their way from waterhole to waterhole, feeding along the way. So perhaps we're going to be able to pinpoint one of those along the way. Jamie, well, wildebeest are more closely related to impala, so they are antelopes. Buffalo are not antelopes. They are closely related. They are in the family Bovidae, but they are not in the antelope subfamily. So there's 4 subfamilies and 10 tribes that antelope fit into. Buffalo is not one of them. So the wildebeest are actually on a tribe of their own called the Ridancini. So there are others in this tribe, such as the hartebeest, but they're not ones that we get here. So here they are the only white members of that tribe that we get. Mark, that is because the Mara wildebeest are different to these ones. They are not the same antelope. So the ones we get down here are different, so that's why you'll see a bit of a difference in coloration and morphology of these animals. Very observant of you, Mark. Well done. Well done. 10 out of 10 for that. Well, anyway, it's pretty hot here, and we are starting to move a little bit out of the shade, or at least I am. I think the guys on the back here are great. But I'm going to move on a bit and go up to Buffelshoek. I wonder how David's doing up in the Mara at the moment. I'm sure it's a lot cooler up there than it is down here. I hope he is having a very, very Merry Christmas. Let's go up and say g'day to David.
All right, what I do here, the position where we were before, because those lions were a bit flat and not doing much. So we want to come to animals that are full of action, and there's some Ellis here, and it's a different herd. I was talking about family day, family day, family day. Thank you very much for wishing me Merry Christmas, and you Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidades. And it's a different herd from the one I saw before. And I'm sure you had joined me before when I was saying today is a family day, and all the animals that you'll be looking for must be families, not looking for one single individual. Now these elephants, either they had a small little issue between the two of them or between the two herds, because I just saw them stampeding and running and trumpeting. I want to find out what could have happened. So let's just fast back here, and we're going to try and study them a little bit and know what could have transpired with them. Either they saw something they didn't like, or between them, because I'm trying to guess, these are two different herds in there, and they might have seen something they either did not like. Oh yes, I see what was the problem. The two lionesses there. You see that boy, the way he's coming? But to the left, there were two lionesses. Either they might have, or they might have a bit of confrontation. You see where that car is parked? The two lionesses go in that direction to where that car is. And again, these are two members of the Olololo pride, either running for fun or they have a small issue. And this is very interesting. Two family herds against two lionesses. What would happen here? Definitely the lionesses have no chance. I'm looking at that as being a bull there, and the way he is walking, he is very majestic. And they become very protective of the females if there's any concern of predators like lions, which I highly doubt. The lionesses have taken a different direction, and rarely you get them trying to engage elephants. They know they have no chance. They'll definitely lose. Very easy for elephants to kill lions. I've seen a fully grown male which was very grumpy holding a baby lion to a small cub about 6 months, and just held it by the trunk and tossed it up in the air excuse me, which was quite dramatic as it landed. It did not die, it survived, but on landing, you know, she took off running very quickly, and unfortunately she went in the wrong direction, not towards where the mother was, but I think she took the fastest or the quickest safety route from those alleys. Electrical engineer. I love your name, electrical engineer, and Merry Christmas. In general, I would say they do not. They do not. And anytime they crisscross or when their parts come together, the lions will always tend to give way and go in different directions. What they will do once in a while, I've seen prides of lions, electrical engineer, going for calves. They have seen them going for baby lions. But in general, I mean, they have no chance. And anytime you see elephants lying somewhere, I mean, lions lying somewhere down, and a herd of elephants come close to them, lions, you know, they never wait. And the electrical engineer, lions will always have to give way. And if they don't move, the elephants will always harass them and like just start trumpeting, or they go flapping their ears, and the lions just take off. We're going to go back to this spread of to this herd of elephants here and see how closely knit now they are than earlier before. And I think the message is because of those two lionesses. And if you look carefully, all the calves now have been placed in the center of the herd. For the one obvious reason, safety. And it's like one of them is nursing there. There's a bit of obstruction. But if you look at the big cow in the middle there, I think there's one calf that is nursing. If this one's going to move, we might be lucky. So what elephants will do if there's any concern, they always round up their young ones and put them in the middle of the herd. Got two of them here that are candling, having a bit of candles on Christmas Day. As I said earlier, it is a family day even for people back at home. I'm sure the families have grouped together. These elephants might also be doing the same. Well, it's very typical for elephants because they're very social mammals. And the leader in this particular herd definitely gave instructions once they saw those two lionesses. Everybody here, don't move until I say. So they might stick in that one particular area for quite some time before the commander gives different or says otherwise. How interesting when you see ellies candling each other, using their tusks, trunks, and whatever message they pass. And I'm sure there's always a lot of communication going on. Who knows what they're saying? Yes, and I'm sure she is enjoying that in the final control. She says awesome, and truly it is. And the young calves right there, maybe they'll have a couple of years before they can learn how to communicate like this. Definitely a lot of information is being exchanged at this point. Seeing elephants with their trunks up, in Africa we have always said that's a sign of good luck. Whatever our good luck will be for us today, I do not know. It could be now, it could be tonight, it could be tomorrow morning. That one there is quite huge comparing to the others, and you know, it stands out. And yes, any better than this, and the contrast of the got about 25, 30 ellies in this particular herd. So any traps at the moment, and are you putting it in your head? What are you trying to do? Or do you want to get rid of soil on it, then you put it in your mouth? Yes, that makes a bit of sense. You don't see that flapping a lot at the moment because it's not hot. And when it gets pretty hot, that's when they keep flapping. A lot of communication is going on here. Not sure what this bull wants, because what I initially thought, he was just trying to pass a message, but he was trying to pass a message to that particular young girl there. When he came in majestically, I'm sure you remember how he marched in. And I guess, well, either she is too young, or we have seen occasionally the females and the matriarch, if they think it's not time to mate, she will be shown the door. Minamu, it's very true. Elephants can pick very small vibrations, and they can also pick anything that is out of a human ear. So using their feet, it has been claimed, or their tummies, it has been claimed they can pick up ultrasound, and they would be able to get information from a long, long way. So that theory, Minamu, is there. How it works, Minamu, I have no idea, and I'm very excited to hear your name today, Minamu, and to you, Merry Christmas, Minamu. Well, this boy here is up to something, and the girl is not willing, and she's playing hard to get, and it's becoming quite a situation here because we got small little calves here, and maybe they do not have an idea of what is happening. We have seen once the females are not ready to mate, they don't give the males any chance, and they'll keep moving, and you can tell that male there is definitely in the mood. And what would happen is, if need be, the matriarch will try and discourage, him from mating with the female, unless, of course, the female is in estrus. You can hear the trumpeting going on there, and not once we have seen females trying to ward off the male and preventing him from mating with a female. And the way they're surrounding him there is maybe a clear message: nope, get out of here. Males will always be on their own, but when it comes to the breeding time or when it comes to mating time, they tend to sneak in. But I think the final word here will be the matriarch. If she doesn't okay it, sometimes, the male is not allowed to mate. Either he is being, kept away from the female. I'm not sure whether you can get that audio. Well, my translation here is my guess is nope, you're staying away from that female. Because they have blocked him. The female has moved to the right. And yes, I agree with you, because this is a clear message. We are not allowing you to mate with that female, and I would guess that is the message they are sending to that particular male, who in every form and shape, he looks very ready to start mating. Well, a decision has to be made here. We've got everybody together. And in the background I can hear some frogs just trying to call us cooling off and getting a little dark. How cool is this, eh? Remember, should you have any questions or any comments, please send them through #SafariLive. David, good, and to know we share the same name, and Merry Christmas. They're always very different sighting when you come to elephants, and one of the coolest one I have seen, I was talking about it earlier when I had a baby elephant in a hole, which accidentally, I think, they were walking on the edge of a little swamp, and I think the ground caved in, and the baby calf slid in that particular hole, and the mother did all what she could, even reverse pushing the baby out, and it did not work. And what I saw two cows holding their trunks like that, and they held the baby in between there, and they kind of tossed the baby out, as how guys would do in basketball, and they saved that particular baby. Otherwise, if that would not have happened, lions would have taken advantage. Well, I'm not sure there's something going on there, David. Sorry to interrupt you, David. Oops, we could be having some Christmas moment here. Yes, and it was very interesting to see how that baby was saved. But the male did not let go, and saying Christmas time is time to make babies. Well, this is quite exciting here, and either the females or the cows gave in, and maybe they allowed the male to mount. I'm not sure anything might have happened, because there's another one big male to the left there, and that male is going maybe to the younger male, and the old boys will always make sure that the youngsters or the young males do not mate in their presence. They want to keep the genes going, and they think they're still a bit immature. So old male elephants have been known to prevent the young bulls from mating. Because I think as soon as the young bull that was trying to mount the female saw the big male coming in, he very quickly dismounted and said, I don't want trouble with the big brother. So there's still a lot going on. These elephants, you look at them carefully, the speed or the pace of feeding has slowed down, and it's all about the presence of these males in this particular herd. A decision will have to be made by the cow, and I'm guessing that one in the front there could be the matriarch. She looks big, large in size. The two calves at the back there. Maybe they don't want to be put in a confrontation, so I think they're in a safe area. And ideally what happens, females will always be living alone. Females or elephants, they're very matriarchal, will always get sisters, first cousin females, and the young ones living together. Males will be forming their own herds, which you call bachelors or bachelor clubs. But when it comes to mating or when they pick, we got females or they're females in heat, they'll always sneak in and mate. And as soon as the mating is over, or when they think the females have conceived, they'll always make their way and leave the female herd. So definitely you'll see males hanging around not very far from the females, and they can easily pick that from the urine. If they are walking around or feeling around and they pick some urine and the scent or the grimace and they pick some hormones that may tell that the particular females is in estrus, then they'll definitely track it down and they'll join them. This is exactly what could be happening here. That one got some tawny ears on the left. The left ear is a bit torn there. I got a bit of tear there, and telling you there's an odd, a very odd female. Well, I think Sydney, seeing two kills from the roller, seeing lions, and seeing elephants mounting and almost mating, that's very cool from this part of Africa. Let's find out whether you have anything to surprise me with in Juma.
The Christmas competition is very tough at the moment here by this side of Juma. I have been to the Buffer's Hook. Now I am in the middle of the game reserve where I am not winning when it comes to the tracks. But as soon as I pick up the tracks, I can guarantee you we are going to find something. So now I am heading much more towards the Twins Dam area and see if we cannot be lucky with Hosanna in that area. At the same time, I'll be listening to the lions for in case if those lions we saw earlier going to the private property are not coming back this side, or the Unkuhumas, the whole pride is not coming much more this side. So here in the middle, I was trying to see if I'm going to pick up any tracks for Tandi or Tlalama, but it's difficult. There are no tracks at all. Maybe it's because of the weather, they were not moving too much. Or they might be having a kill somewhere hiding in some of these thick bushes or by one of the trees. When the sun is setting is when now they are thinking about going to the holes. So that's why I want to quickly go to the Twins Dam area and see if there are no tracks for Hosanna. I'm sure after this very hot weather, it needs to go and drink something. Yeah, no, that is what we are hoping for. It is quite very hot at the moment here. So when it's hot like this, animals must drink, otherwise they are going to dehydrate, because these animals, they've got quite a lot of ticks on them, and the ticks absorbs blood from the body, so they have to be drinking all the time. The ticks does have a detrimental effect on these animals. When they're absorbing too much blood, the animals can end up dehydrating. So just quite a lot of hippo tracks everywhere. So these hippos are traveling long distancing for grazing purposes. And of course, the elephants, the evidence is just everywhere on the road as they are just defecating everywhere. So now I am not alone here in the Juma Game Reserve at the moment. I do have my other friend, Pat. Let's hear what Pat is having.
Pat has nothing. Here we have been bumbling about. We're still making our way to Buffer's Hook, as I said earlier, so we're not quite there yet. But in the meantime, there hasn't been a lot of activity. But that is to be expected this time of year. It's very hot. I don't feel like doing much when it's hot. The animals don't feel like doing much when it's hot. So everything is very mellowed right now, but it's just starting to get to that time where animals will start to get a little bit more active, you know. They'll start looking for water, maybe even a feed if it's a cat. So we don't exactly know what's going to happen. Hopefully we're going to find out. Now please, if you have any questions or comments, use that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. It is Christmas and I would love to interact with all of you on this beautiful day. Marcy, what's the most Christmassy antelope? Well, I think the impala to me is the most deer-like antelope. So obviously you see those Christmas jumpers, they've got the deers on them. You know, the traditional American Christmas jumpers. And the impala to me out here is the most deer-like antelope. So I would say the impala for that. The most Christmassy antelope. We've also got Christmassy Hosanna right here next to me. That is of course Stevovos. I would love to find real Christmassy Hosanna. That would be amazing. We did go for a look for him this morning, just after we had him live on air. Unfortunately, we couldn't find him again. I'm sure he's tucked away under the shade of a very well hidden tree because we looked just about everywhere this morning and no luck. Oh, wouldn't it be absolutely beautiful to find some cats today on Christmas? That's all I want for Christmas this year. It's my first Christmas away from Australia, my first Christmas away from my family. All I want right now is just some cats. That would really make my day. Near water source. That time, let's send you the updates he has for us.
I am now approaching the Muluwati, which is the famous drainage line. This is the famous dry riverbed. And here is where I want to look for Hosanna. But first, I want to go to the exact spot where he was last spotted this morning and take it from there. I'll come and check the drainage line according to the evidence from the Shella pen. Hosanna can easily travel long distances. I have been here earlier, maybe about 45 minutes ago. There was nothing, but I know that if he's hiding around the pen, he might come out for drinking. And nobody is talking to me this afternoon. No squirrels, no birds. So I'm not getting the information about the presence of Hosanna at the moment. So the squirrels are my reliable sources. Yeah, the ground is also giving me some updates, but here now when the sun is too bright, it's very much difficult to judge the age of the track. So when I'm doing trekking, I work hand in hand with the squirrels. So the squirrels every time, they tell me what's happening. So it is very, very quiet here at the pen. Maybe he has moved on. I will just go and check high up by the twins dam. And there is no animals here, no impalas, nothing. Maybe he's still around here. Lorena, that is true. The squirrels, they are good trackers and they will tell you every time. So they've got a good advantage because they can see something while they are high up in these trees. And sometimes they can see something from the ground and then climb a tree and tell everybody. They warn everybody. And the other animals as well, they do rely on squirrels. It's not only me. When the squirrel starts making noise, other animals, they concentrate and they check. So there is quite a very interesting dependency on these animals, irrespective of the size and the species. So imagine a tiny animal like a squirrel saving the kudu or saving the nyala. Yeah, it has been a while because now when the bush is recovering, it's never easy. So it was much more clear during the dry season because then the squirrels, they were still concentrating on the food that they served during the rainy season, and mostly they were climbing these trees without leaves. Most of the deciduous trees, the trees that loses the leaves during the dry season. So now that the bush is recovering, it's difficult to see them. I do see them on the ground a lot, but to have a clear picture on them is not easy these days. Scenic. These animals, when they are giving an alarm call, it is not the same call. Animals have got different kind of calls. They've got mating calls, they've got distress calls, they've got advertisement calls, they've got territorial calls. So these animals, when they are giving an alarm call, it's a different call. And that call, it can be easily recognized by these other animals, like the squirrels. When they are giving a territorial call, it's much more related to that warning call. But when they are doing a warning call, they are going to call non-stop, and they will be also raising their body, raising their hair. So the other animals will pay attention and start concentrating as well. So here I've got a small head of the waterbuck. You can see there, it's a bachelor head. They are all having males. You can see the horns of the waterbucks, the arrangement itself is very dangerous because the horns are facing forward. So it means if these animals pulls down the head and face forward, it can be dangerous towards the oncoming animal. So the animals, when wanting to attack them, has to be very careful. I can smell I can easily smell these waterbucks passing by. But I'm not smelling that subcutaneous gland, because they've got a gland which is associated to the skin, which is much more about waterproofing. And people, they misinterpret the function of this gland, thinking that it's a gland specifically in order to give the meat an unpleasant taste. So that gland has got nothing to do with the taste of the meat. It's just that if the meat touches the hairs after it has been oiled by the gland, it becomes an issue. But normally, the gland is there to serve for waterproof. As these kind of animals, for safety, sometimes they do go inside the water holes. And their concentration for foraging is not far away from the water holes. Kathy, I have never seen the bushbucks and the nyalas as well as the waterbucks dancing. The nyala, the nyala is the one I have seen dancing, raising the hairs, but the waterbuck and the bushbucks, these ones, I never saw them doing that. But I know the waterbuck, they raise the neck. You see the hairs here on their neck, they beep. They raise the neck, and you will see the neck very fluffy, trying to exaggerate the size of the neck in order to show the dominance. They do that. But I don't think it's as interesting as for the nyalas. So here you can see that we still have got daylight, but if you go now to the Masai Mara, where I'm going to show you, David is now enjoying the beginning of darkness.
Well, it's time for the darkness here, and it's the time to look for all the nocturnal animals. I decided to leave the elephants and give them a bit of space, and they waded towards some little bushes where I could not keep up with them. So what I've thought, or what I've decided, is to go back to the lions we saw early in the grass and see if they have come anywhere close to the road. You can see all the cars now in front of me coming. They got their lights on because it's already dark and it's time to go home for most of the people. But we're very lucky that we are always able to stay out maybe for another 1 hour, 1.5 hours after everybody else has gone back home. I'm going to put on my lights on. I've got very powerful lights in front there, so we'll always try and avoid not to blind other vehicles. They're very special lights that we can use to spot what we need to see. So there's little lapwings to making noise on the road. They tend to nest on the ground. So the whole idea now, I'll get my spotlight out, and I always go left, right, and left until I spot something, or I see some eyes that are glaring. Then we'll stop, switch off my spotlight, switch off the light, switch off the car, and then we are going to start using infrared. So that helps us to spot the animals, but not as yet. So the whole idea now is to look for any eyes in the grass where those lions were. It was somewhere around here, unless I've passed them or unless they have moved. So I want to see if I can see the yellow eyes in the grass. But if they stand up, chances are they'll be walking on the road. They'll be known to use the road a lot. Yesterday morning they walked a whole 11 lions on the road and away from the grass. Of course, yes, it was a bit wet. See if we can get these lapwings here in front of us. Oops, they just flew. Oh, they just flew away. Kathy, how are you today? And Merry Christmas, Kathy. You love my Christmas shuka. Yes, traditionally, Kathy, I usually have a green shuka, but Kathy, today being a Christmas day, I have this one on, and thank you very much for your comment that you love my Maasai shuka. Maasais are local people who live around this area, and that's why we call this area the Masai Mara or the Mara Triangle. And they're very proud of their colors, and red is one very big color of the Maasai people. So most of them will be in red, but also some will be in green or blue or yellow, Kathy, depending on maybe your clan, because also among the Maasais, they got clans. And I also learned the other day, they had a very big ceremony where, the young elders would graduate to Olpayan. Olpayan is a very senior level of elders. I learned that also the ladies who are single, they may wear a particular color, for example, yellow, and when they get married, they may change that to blue. But still, either way, red is always overriding all the colors for the Maasai people. Well, either these lions moved, crossed the road, or I must have passed them if they're still sleepy, which is nothing out of the ordinary for lions. But again, as I said earlier, or as we all know, once it cools off, they'll always rise and shine. Either stretching, having a little, walk, or maybe going to join their mothers who we left right behind there. And two of those females are the mothers of the Ororo Pride, which are having a bit of a confrontation with the elephants. Remember, should you have any questions, please send them through. Any comments like Kathy talking about my nice red shuka on a Christmas day, you can tweet #SafariLive as usual. Definitely those lions must have moved, and what they need to do is to go to a different area. All right, to take you back to South Africa and see who is trying to compete with my red hat for Christmas.
Oh, I apologise, I wasn't getting comms just then. So I am still cruising through. We did check at Buffelshoek, and unfortunately there wasn't a whole heap of activity. There was a couple of birds, a couple of Egyptian geese, but that was about all that was going on. I think everyone's congregating for their family matters this Christmas. But anyway, I think it's actually probably better to be driving right now, to be honest. The wind is very refreshing right now, blowing upon us. I think Steve Ovo's brain's finally cooled off. He's speaking coherently and audibly for once, so that's a good sign. We must be coming into the afternoon. So we've just been cruising along this dry river right now, looking for a leopard, hoping for a leopard, praying for a leopard. Unfortunately, we're just not having that much luck right now, but that's not to say that we will not. They're always here. They're always lurking about. So we have a little squirrel. Just, no, he's moving too quickly. I was going to switch off and have a look at it, but it was moving a tad too quick. I hope everybody is enjoying their Christmas, wherever you are in the world right now. It may not even be Christmas anymore. For some people tuning in, I know all of my Australian friends will have just gone into Boxing Day right now. So if anyone is watching in from Australia, I hope you did have a great Christmas and go to sleep. It's past your bedtime. No, there is no bedtime on Christmas. So I do apologise, but David, are you getting any comms?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We just got some comms saying that Hosanna fell.
Hosanna, oh yes, Hosanna did fall. I'm sorry, buddy. There we go. I do apologise. I better get your name out there nice and proud. Alright, I'm just going to pull off to the side here. There is another vehicle coming and we do like to share the roads. So everybody watching along, join in with saying a big happy Christmas to these people coming past. Sure, and then I'll link you to Sydney. So 3, 2, 1, Merry Christmas! You're all live on TV right now. Alright, let's go to Sydney.
You guys seen anything out here?
You can see that I've got the giraffe at the moment, and this giraffe is just very much stationary feeding, and he's feeding on this tree, whereas some other birds are also feeding from him. I can see that there is some oxpeckers who are also getting some ticks from him, and this is a male. The reason why I'm saying this is a male giraffe is because of the color of the skin. The males are much more darker than the females. But don't get confused. When both male and females are getting old, you must check the body coloring is dark on both of them. When they are both old, you must consider the following. The thickness of those oxycones, those horns. The males have got thick horns, whereas the females, they've got thin oxycones. And the males, they are bald on top of those oxycones, whereas the females have got hairs there. So you can see it's clear on that one that is bald. So you can see that now it's disappearing amongst those trees there. Giraffe girl, indeed, that is a lovely Christmas gift and you must enjoy it. I don't see giraffes very often these days because they've got food everywhere. There's no need for them to just come out. So I picked up a very distinctive smell from that giraffe. Normally giraffes, to advertise themselves in order to attract the females, they secrete some of the smell, and that smell is the one which attracts this female for breeding purposes. So I have checked. I didn't copy the questions from all the viewers. If you can repeat that. Yeah, here in Juma, we don't see giraffes a lot because the Juma Game Reserve has got some borders, which has got some strict rules. When these animals are feeding by the neighboring properties, we cannot afford to go there. So that is why we don't see them often. It's not like they are not in the area. There is quite a lot of giraffes here. The problem is the transverse rules. That's why we are also battling too much these days to see Tandi and Kalama, because they're always by the private concession. They're just coming and going, coming and going. The animals are just hiding at the moment, but here where I am, it's understandable because this is the area where the predator was spotted, and this predator was left there this morning. So the chances of animals knowing about the presence of the predators here, they are very high. And something else, the lions that we found this morning, they have been here. Their tracks are just everywhere, and other lion tracks as well in the other areas. So there has been quite a lot of predatory activities here last night. So maybe that is one of the reasons why we are not seeing quite a lot of animals. So normally these animals are attracted, the lions are attracted by the buffaloes here. But we haven't seen a lot of buffaloes on the past couple of days. So now they are here, not motivated by the presence of the buffaloes. They're just here looking for something for themselves. I'm trying to sniff here so that we can see if there's something, because some of these animals we can pick them from the sense of smell. But so far I can only smell the elephant evidence that they've been here. It means it's from this little pothole here. Oh wow, there's some water bugs again right in front here. and these waterbucks are looking at that direction. Maybe the waterbuck knows who is around. But waterbuck is one of those big prey for the leopards. The one who normally targets them, it is the lions, because they prefer something normally over 550 kilograms, so that everybody by the pride can get satisfied. You can see the round ring by the back of these waterbucks. This is a follow me sign, and it's nice and clear. They've got this round ring there, and they've got also another white beep here on the neck. So the one on the neck is much more for the dominance. So that is the one they use when they're exaggerating the bodies. These Kathy, they don't smell very bad. Sometimes some of these animals, they smell like herbs. And some, they smell like the dry leaves of some of the trees. And some of them, they smell like some of the medicinal plants, such as the wild anise. Because when these animals are walking, they walk and they rub against these plants, and the scent of the plants then attached to the animal. And when you come across these animals, they smell like this, which is not the original body scent. So, but here we're talking about the original body scent. So the body scent of the waterbug is not that very bad. So these animals, they've got a lot of high urine output. And because of that, during the dry season, they've got to concentrate a lot in the areas where there's a lot of green grass, so that they can be able to get a lot of proteins. Apart from that, waterbucks, in order to overcome the drought, they also eat droppings of animals such as baboons. And they have been recorded also eating droppings of their own little ones, just to hide evidence to the predators that they have got the little ones. So you can see that the hares, during the sunrise, we do see quite a lot of animals. Why? Because of the following. The animals, I'm going to concentrate much more on the ungulates. The ungulates are the splitted hoofed animals. So these animals, if you can check, they go out for feeding purposes, and they collect quite a lot of vegetation. It can be leaves from the trees or grasses. When they come back at night, they are going to have a safety place where they're going to regurgitate and eat what they've collected during the day. So during the morning, it means the food for last night is very low or is finished. That is when they must go and gather food. Now, you will see them, but not a lot, because it's when they are coming back. You will see them in big groups, but coming back, going to rest. In the morning, because they are hungry, is when you can see them. So now is the time for the predators. You cannot see them a lot now also, because they know they must have to avoid the predators. So it's like when predators are becoming active, we go to sleep. So they are avoiding each other. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara, where David is now on IR looking for something.
Well, I went down that way and missed the lions I had seen before, and something tells me chances were they were still having a nap, and I won't go back to the same spot I had seen them and concentrate much better and see whether I'm going to see them, because I don't think I would miss 10 lions that were sitting together. Well, one big difference between the kind of soil chemistry here that we have comparing to Juma, where we got Pat and Sydney and Steve. Like now, this has a lot of marram. The road here has a lot of marram on it. And it's very easy for the lions just to walk 10 lions. You're talking about like 40 poles, 40 trucks across there, and we don't see even one, because the marram is just added to make the road surface much harder. So So it's very possible they can cross the road and I miss them. So the whole idea is to go where I'd seen them before and concentrate more by like putting my spotlight there. Got all these flies trying to get into my mouth. But in a place like Juma, a slight, even young lion, like a cub, just walking on the sand there, they easily pick it up like that. A leopard walks. I remember the last time I was there, they could easily identify the truck when the people go walking, they could tell a male from a female just on the truck, because it's very well defined and it shows very well, on the sand, unlike this kind of soil we got here. The main soil here, of course, is the black cotton soil, and as I said, this red clay or marram, it just added to make it much harder for the vehicles not to get stuck, because this is one of the main roads in the Mara Triangle, and if this becomes an impossible, it would mean that the feeder roads are worse. Nancy, how are you? And I'm happy you're watching, and Merry Christmas, and good to know you are on board last night and you're saying possibly we can maybe get another night jam. It's very possible. It was so funny because yesterday at one point I thought I saw another night jar and just found out it was not a night jar but someone's cup. I don't know where that cup is today. I can't see it. It had one piece of metal that was shining, and I was like, well, a second night jar, Nancy. So be on board, keep watching, Nancy. We might surprise you with another mountain night jar, because this is the time they normally come out. And interestingly, when they come out, they'll always come on the road like this. The road surface is much warmer, but also they'll come do a bit of a dust bathing. So that's the reason why they'll come on the road and not stay in the grass. It's a lot easier for us than to spot them on the road. At night, during the day, very difficult to see them. They'll be, on trees, and they tend to blend in very well. You might think it's like a knob or part of a branch of a tree. And I was talking of how special the night jars are. On one of their claws or toes, there's one that's modified, like a small little comb or brush that they use just to groom themselves or just to align their feathers. Not sure I know of another bird that is able to do that. Most of the other birds will always use their beaks. You'll always see them doing that to groom their feathers or just to align them. But the nightjars got that very special kind of comb on one of their toes to do that. Now, where did these lions go? Seriously? Because if they would leave the grass where they were, I would expect them to meet the middle of the road, right there. Lee, good question. Have you ever been charged by a lion? I'll tell you, no. What I've seen, I have seen two male lions fighting, and unfortunately they came so close to where the car was. And either one of them panicked when he saw the car and just growled at me. But definitely I had nothing to do with the fight. It's very difficult, Lee, to get lions charging to anybody, and especially in the car. They get habituated to seeing us as big animals, big things, big machines. They get the smell of diesel, all those fumes, and the engine running. It's very unusual to see, I would say, a lion coming straight to charging a car. The charges we see are from other bigger mammals, talking about buffaloes or elephants. Those ones, Lee, many times they have charged cars and they have had people even into the car. Rhinos the same, and especially the black rhinos. Now, my lions, you're playing game for me on a Christmas day, which doesn't make me very happy. That is not what we had agreed with you. We agreed after you have enough nap, you'd come back to the road, which is much warmer, and would have some visuals of you in infrared. But that's exactly, they are just doing what their mind is telling them. Well, hopefully they're going to cooperate at one point. I'll keep crossing this road until I'm satisfied they are gone and my Christmas is over. But let's first go back to Sydney in South Africa.
Still in the middle of trekking. No fresh updates yet. Now I'm trying to check the area which includes the Viotella Pen area, as here by this side I'm not seeing anything convincing that Hosanna is still in the area there. Maybe he moved all the way up to this area. So he doesn't always walk on the road. Sometimes he does walk in the middle of these bushes and just come out to cross somewhere. I will be happy if I find Hosanna in this area this evening. So maybe here is where he's gonna come and try his luck. Because by the Viotella Pen coming here, I think is advantageous because he doesn't only come for water, he targets water and prey at the same time. Yeah, I can see that he's not around here by the pen yet. So I'm just gonna check from the dam wall, because by the dam wall I know sometimes we pass him when he's on the other side of the dam. Yeah, this is the dam wall where sometimes he does come and just hide from this side. Yeah, so far I'm not seeing anything here. Yeah, the predators, they do get rid of the ticks by the accessible areas, but some of the areas is difficult for them, like in the ears. They cannot be able to get rid of the ticks there. So some of the ticks, they will stay there for quite a long time. See, they do also scratch against the trees in order to get rid of these ticks, and they do take them just from their tooth. You will see them sometimes pulling them from the teeth. Oh, we've got another animal here. So we've got another animal is feeding at the moment. So this one is not one of those who will assist you with any of the warning calls, the scrub hare. So you can see that now that the sun is disappearing, the scrub hares are starting to come out. So they are feeding right on this green grass. Look at these beautiful ears. Hind legs longer than front legs. That's the scrub hare. So you can see that this scrub hare is on a mission to go somewhere, as it's not settled at all. So they come out at night normally to avoid the eagles, because they know the eagles, such as the marshal eagles and other big birds, can easily take down a scrub hare. No luck with Hosanna in this area at the moment. I'm sure if he was here, he was going to come out for the scrub here. Now, Hosanna, I think he's still got to learn a lot in order to deal with the scrub hairs. Scrub hairs can be so confusing, and they do sometimes confuse the skillful hunters such as Tandy. I just want to listen to the bush this side. It's very quiet. So I'm just going to check this area of Mulawati a little bit. So now let's quickly go back to Pat and see what he's having.
Yes, we've got some very cute little critters here. We've got a community of dwarf mongoose we can see running about right now. There's about 12 of them all up in the area that we're looking at right now. We can probably see about 8 of them right now. How good is this? I always love encounters with dwarf mongoose. They're very reminiscent of the meerkat, aren't they? Very closely related and have a lot of similar traits. Obviously being a very communal animal, not like other mongoose we get here, like the slender or the banded. These ones are a lot more communal. Breeding with just an alpha pair. Communal breeders is what we call them, where the others, the non-breedings, will help to raise the young. We can see them here. I think this must be their little home here. They all seem very comfortable around here. How good is this? It's really fascinating to think that hyenas are more closely related to these guys than they are either cats or dogs. Probably more surprising dogs, because they do very much resemble dogs, yet they're more closely related to these cute little animals. How great is this? It's not very often we get a lot of time with these animals. They run around so much. They're very active a lot of the day, obviously very active communicating with each other, working with one another and trying to find food, or staying in their den. And yes, everyone, I agree, they are very cute. One of my favourite animals to see out here, for sure. As I said, it's often fleeting, but a great sighting nonetheless. Actually, I've got a very interesting and cool story about these guys as well. So the other day I was walking along just kind of outside of our camp, and there was a group of dwarf mongoose, and as I was approaching them, a hornbill started alarm calling at me, and the dwarf mongoose all scattered. They went opposite directions, and this really intrigued me. It turns out what actually happens is that they have a bit of a relationship, the hornbills and the dwarf mongoose, in that they will alarm shout and warn them when there's predators about, and in return they will hunt with the dwarf mongoose to help them better their chances of catching their prey. So that's a really cool little symbiosis, and it's very cool because it actually happened to me. I saw it in effect. And sometimes you can actually see the hornbills going through the mongoose. Come on, wake up, come out, it's time to go hunt. Really cool relationship. You can see this one is obviously an adult, it's much younger ones. Yeah, it's very cool that I got to experience it firsthand. It's always cool when you get to experience something in nature firsthand, whether it's a mating display, an alarm call, anything that you learn about and actually see in practice out here in nature is absolutely beautiful, especially when you can pinpoint what it is. I mean, sometimes the mystery is great, but to also know and to explain what's going on is very cool as well. And that's, I think, the constant appeal of being out here and being in nature, is that you're always going to be finding the answers, but you're always going to be finding questions at the same time. It's kind of like a dog chasing its own tail in the most playful and fun way you can imagine. I wouldn't be chasing anything else right now in my life. Isn't this great? I'm glad everybody's loving this interaction as much as I am. What a great Christmas treat. It looks like we've got a Franklin here as well. It's making a bit of noise. Cats, dwarf mongoose are somewhat similar to squirrels. They're obviously not extremely closely related, but they are somewhat closely related. We can see that in their locomotion and their life habits. Squirrels are a bit more fluffier though. Most definitely. Different coat. Oh, isn't this awesome? They're obviously very relaxed right now. They are pretty skittish animals. They will run off quite quickly. As I said, a lot of sightings with them is pretty fleeting. But we are at a bit of a distance right now, probably about 30, 40 meters, so about 100, 120 feet. So I think they're just in their natural state right now, just doing their thing. And it is absolutely amazing to watch. Very blessed. Then being the dwarf mongoose, dwarfs being comparable to elves, I wonder where the Santa mongoose is. Well, let's cross to Sydney, who, speaking of Santa, has found something in the tree. Emma, sorry, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to make that link right there.
You can see that instead of finding Hosanna, I managed to find some of the evidence that the Christmas was celebrated here. And looking at this design, I can tell that this is one of my friends. When I'm checking the tracks on the ground, I can see that one of the safari vehicles went past here. So this maybe is coming from the other vehicle, which is Pat and Steve on the other side. You can see he's still hanging up by the tree. So I'm sure Hosanna, if he comes here, as he likes to play too much, he was going to come and play with this Christmas hat. So I'm just going to try and pick it up here, or ask my camera operator to take it from that front. This is a rare sighting. You can see we got it back, and we will then ask who the owner is. So apparently from David, the camera operator by the other car. No, I've got two now. So let's hope to still find Hosanna in this area, as Hosanna got disappeared somewhere here, and he is not yet out. No evidence showing that he is out of this area. Maybe he's just somewhere hiding here. Now, indeed, it's a rare sighting. It's something very special. Maybe some of the animals saw it and they might have been asking themselves who this is. And there is no tracks at all. I've checked everywhere, everywhere. Maybe we're gonna be lucky when we get out to the main road from the drainage line. So I hope the hyenas are gonna come in this area for orientation. Oh, the artifact hole. Sorry for that. So these artifacts are digging a lot here. Sometimes you come here today and find nothing. Tomorrow there's a big hole on the road. So now let's quickly go back to Pat and hear what he is talking about.
Yes, a very feathered friend. We have a Coqui Franklin right here. You can tell that from its yellow head that we're looking at right now. One of the, well, about 4 or 5 different Franklins and spurfowls that we do have here in Juma. They are, of course, ground and game birds, just like the guinea fowls that we see. We often see them dwelling about the ground, also searching for food amongst the ground. Now, they are actually called a Coqui Franklin because of their call as well. It's a coqui, like a cookie. So K-O-K-I is how people will describe their call. Cookie! Cookie! Sorry, Steve just asked me to repeat that. I've got to pass my tests out here. Very bad. I'm not great at my bird calls yet. I do admit that, hand to my heart, but I am trying to improve. I've got Ollie definitely showing me all the different bird calls, but it looks like, yeah, can we play it? Steve's just giving me his phone here. So oh yeah. See, I was kind of right there. Cookie, 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 cookie. Strong sort of, Emma says. Here we go, and now it's doing it back. So this is the proper call. Very cool, very cool. Very cool indeed. These are actually one of the first birds that I was very excited to identify, because I wasn't great at identifying these ground birds and didn't know what they were. And about a month or 2 ago was when I first just pointed it and said, that's a Coqui Franklin. And Malume James, well, he was very proud. So it was one of my first birds out here that really challenged me to get the identifications right, because all of the Franklins do look pretty similar, very similar in some cases. Alright, well, I'm going to keep moving on anyway. I'm glad you all enjoyed that little sighting. I am starting to get pretty confident with my birding now. Anyone who has been following my traineeship would have seen me make a few mistakes with the birds, but I am getting pretty good now. Pretty much every trainee drive that we're sending out on now, we have to identify at least 30 or 50 birds. So we're really starting to get familiar with them. It's just those little kind of very indescript birds that are starting to get me. The small ones that are just brown, kind of have indistinct markings. Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep on my search. I think I'm going to head to the hyena den now. I think that would be a good way to round out our Christmas show. But while I am heading that way, I'm going to send you over to my good friend David Gudu in the Mara.
This could come in very handy at this time. And Nancy, I'm still trying to work out very hard for you to get a nightjar. None I have seen. And what I'm seeing now from a distance or from the horizon is just some lightning coming and going, coming and going. This morning when we started, it was a very misty Christmas. You know, it was very misty and it was pretty cold. But I think we're just about to finish today's drive with some pretty good warm weather. And 2 days now we shall have gone without any rains because we have been hammered for the last, I would say, 2 weeks. Every day we have been hammered by rain. What I'm looking for is what I would guess are the two lionesses that we saw before, trying to imagine this is the direction they came. So it could be very good if we end our drive like this today without any rains. And if it rains, it can rain at night. I'll be comfortable if it rains at night, but not during the day. We just turn around here and look in a different area where I'm guessing they might have gone. There's a small little maram around here which was dug, and I was talking about the maram. The park management will collect to gravel the road, and it formed like a natural hole, and we have seen it collecting water when it rains, and lions and especially the Ololo Pride have come there to have some drink. I'm guessing maybe they went there. So hopefully it doesn't rain until we finish the drive, and once we have taken our dinner it can just, you know, fall, and maybe it will clear tomorrow on the Boxing Day. I have not been able to do any calls today because I just want to go and keep listening. Some of the birds like the mountain nightjars, those are quite loud. Yesterday I was playing, they call it the mountain nightjars because they're very conspicuous. You just cannot miss them. Not even a scrub here. I think Sydney had a scrub here. I would be happy at least to see either scrub here or nightjar one of the above. I'm going to show you this mara I'm talking about that collects water when it rains, and maybe we're going to park and listen here for a couple of minutes. Let's just have a look. It could be a bit dark to see the water, and we can just have a look and see if there could be any bats moving in there. Nobody at the moment, so we keep sojourning on and chancing what else we might see around. Water is life, as we say here, and it would definitely attract some wildlife. So when it gets dark, IR becomes very handy, and we might have missed something there from the viewers. So you only have to be careful where you drive. So when it rains at night, you only have to be very careful where you're going. Make sure you keep to the road. And if it rains very heavily and the rivers have lots of water, you have to use the big bridges. There are certain bridges that are small that you can use. They have some culverts, but when it rains heavily, those culverts are washed away. So you have to be very careful where you're going. Otherwise, it's always okay. We have enough light and we know our roads very well. All right, this place doesn't seem to be having any action at the moment. So we're going to go to a different area. Excellent. This place is quiet. So let me send you to a gentleman who have some big animals which could be more entertaining than me just driving around with nothing.
So now, right in front of me, I have got this very big elephant. You can see it's right in the middle of the road I'm not too sure if this is the elephant we saw earlier during the opening, but if it's that one, I'm going to check the hind legs, because the one we saw earlier when we started, he was on mast and he was urinating over his hind legs. And I will also try to investigate the smell. Yeah, this is the one we saw earlier. My cameraman nearly got suffocated by that strong scent from that elephant bull this afternoon. So now again, the wind is on our favor. I'm used to this kind of smell. You cannot survive it here, but it will be for a while, don't worry. So you can see that between the legs, he's got quite a lot of urine coming out now, and all the hind legs, they are wet on the inside. So that is a sign that is on mast. If you go now and pick up the scent where this urine is dropping and sniff it, you're going to pick up a very strong smell. So when you are following the elephant, you must check, like now he's walking, you can see the tracks. If you see the tracks and the water droplets, dry water droplets every time on a row following the elephant, you must know it means he is on mast. Yes, sometimes they do secrete some of the water from the trunk, but it won't travel a long distance with the droplets markings. But here, for this, it's going to go for a very long distance. Sometimes... Bobby, it doesn't really have to be on mast in order to mate. So mast is just also part of the sexual related things, which is facilitated by the testosterone, a hormone which is responsible for the sexual desires. That is what is driving this elephant now in order to secrete all these things. It doesn't happen every time, and a lot of them, they go on mast during the winter season. That is what I have witnessed. Now you will find just not a lot. You'll find a few still going on mast. They don't have a specific period to go on mast, but I have seen a lot during the winter season. So I was on my way now to the tree house dam to try my last luck. Maybe we might have a 1-minute leopard. Oh, good luck. That elephant decided to go to the other side, which is at least going to give me a chance in order to go down this way so that we can check the tree house dam. Yeah, that elephant, that scent is very much strong. So I don't think there's any other animal which can smell like the elephant on mast. Yeah, this is my new hut. You can see now it has been added with another hut from the camera operator by the other vehicle, David. So it means his Christmas celebration was too much. So he jumped high when he was celebrating, and this hut got stuck by one of the trees. So we're just about a minute away from the tree house dam. So by the tree house dam, we must always expect unexpected, because this is where the hyenas comes to drink. And I saw some So now let's quickly go back to Pat, who is having some update on the hyena there.
I do have an update on the hyena den, and unfortunately it's not the update you all want to hear. The hyena den was inactive tonight. It has been inactive the last few nights. Makes me question whether they have changed dens again. They have been doing it quite a lot. Probably about 3 or 4 times since I've been in Juma, and that's about 2 months. So they are pretty secretive or lucrative about their movements, but that's all right. We do know them fairly well, and I'm sure we're going to find them again very soon. So I'm just making my way up to quarantine, hoping that we can just get one last little view of a big herd of impala that usually congregates here at night time. It would be a good way to round out our Christmas. And I'm sure everybody is worrying about the hyenas, but I can assure you that they will be okay. I don't think anything too serious has happened to them. I think they have just changed dens for now. All will be good. Richard Beard, yes, I bet that lion attack definitely has got them on edge. Most definitely. I mean, that would definitely shake any community up. Well, there's no impala here, but let's just stop and see this epic sunset. The sky is streaking right now. It is absolutely beautiful. I thank you all for joining us on this Christmas drive. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we do. And wherever you are in the world, have a very great Christmas and a happy New Year's. We will be broadcasting all week, so make sure you catch us back here then. Until then, we will see you then.